In a quaint little town, nestled between rolling hills and dense woods, a family of 4 moved into a charming Victorian home. The house, with its ornate woodwork and sprawling garden, seemed perfect for the McAllister family. Among the boxes they unpacked, there was one that stood out, an intricately crafted dollhouse, complete with tiny furniture and porcelain dolls that looked disturbingly lifelike. It had belonged to the previous owner, a reclusive woman who had passed away under mysterious circumstances. The youngest daughter, Lily, immediately fell in love with the dollhouse. "Can I keep it in my room?" she pleaded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Her parents exchanged hesitant glances, but ultimately agreed, thinking it would be a delightful addition to her new space. That night, as the family settled in, Lily placed the dollhouse on her bedside table. The moonlight streamed through her window, casting eerie shadows across the room. As she admired the tiny details, she felt a shiver run down her spine. The dolls seemed to watch her, their painted eyes glinting in the dim light. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. Lily would wake up to find the dolls in different positions, some even facing her, as if they were watching her sleep. At first, her parents dismissed it as her imagination, but when Lily started talking about the games the dolls played at night, they grew concerned. One evening, after hearing Lily giggle in her room, her mother went to check on her. "What are you doing, sweetie?" she asked, peeking inside. To her horror, she found Lily sitting on the floor, surrounded by the dolls, their faces smeared with what looked like red paint. "They are playing, Mommy," Lily exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. "They are having a tea party." But the paint was not red, it was something darker, something that resembled blood. That night, Lily's parents decided it was time to put the dollhouse away. They couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. However, when they entered her room, the dollhouse was gone. Panic set in as they searched the house, but it was nowhere to be found. Just as they were about to give up, they heard soft giggles coming from the attic. Cautiously, they climbed the creaking stairs to the attic, where they found the dollhouse sitting in the center of the floor, illuminated by a single beam of moonlight. Lily was there, her expression blank as she stared at the dolls. "They want to play," she whispered, her voice eerily calm. "Lily, honey, it's time to come down," her father said, trying to sound reassuring. But as he reached for her, the dolls began to move on their own, their tiny limbs shifting and twisting. The atmosphere grew heavy, and a cold wind swept through the attic, extinguishing the light. Suddenly, the dolls began to chant in unison, their voices a chilling harmony. join us, forevermore." The walls of the attic seemed to close in, and the temperature dropped drastically. Lily's parents felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as they realized they were not alone. In a desperate attempt to save their daughter, they grabbed her and ran down the stairs, but the dolls followed, their porcelain faces twisted in malevolence. As they reached the front door, it slammed shut, trapping them inside. The family was engulfed in darkness, the only sound the haunting chant of the dolls echoing through the house. Join us, forevermore." With nowhere to turn, they stumbled into the living room, only to find the walls covered in the same red substance that had smeared the dolls' faces. The furniture was overturned, and shadows danced in the corners, taunting them. The dolls now stood in a circle, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light, beckoning them closer. In a moment of clarity, Lily's mother remembered the stories she had heard about the previous owner of the house, how she had been a doll maker, who lost her children in a tragic accident. The dolls were said to be vessels for the souls of the lost, forever seeking new playmates to replace what they had lost. "Lily, we need to leave," her father shouted, but as they turned to escape, the dolls lunged at them, their tiny hands gripping tightly. The family fought against the onslaught, but the dolls were relentless, dragging them back toward the dollhouse. In a final act of desperation, Lily's mother grabbed a nearby candle and hurled it at the dollhouse. The flames erupted, engulfing the dolls in fire. But instead of screaming, the dolls began to laugh, their voices rising above the crackling flames. You cannot escape. You are ours now. As the fire consumed the dollhouse, the room filled with a suffocating darkness. The family felt themselves being pulled into the chaos, their screams drowned out by the laughter of the dolls. Just as they thought they would be lost forever, a blinding light erupted from the flames, and everything went silent. When the townspeople arrived the next morning, they found the house burned to the ground, with no sign of the McAllister family. Only the charred remains of the dollhouse remained, its dolls now lifeless and blackened, but with faint whispers still echoing in the air. Years later, a new family moved into the neighborhood, unaware of the horrors that lay beneath the surface. As they unpacked, they discovered a beautifully crafted dollhouse at a flea market, its porcelain dolls gleaming in the sunlight. Little did they know, the dolls were waiting patiently for new playmates, ready to continue the cycle of horror that had begun long ago.